Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another writing update. This one should hopefully not be too long. I haven't done one since August because it's been a very busy summer. I've had lots of events, well, autumn now. There's generally been a lot going on since the launch of the book in July. The Juice Blossom came out, the first one in the trilogy. Then we had September, we had FantasyCon, but I've also been doing some other regional events. I did a guest lecture at a university. I did a library event the other day. I've been doing interviews. There's been magazine stuff. I was in the, I think, July or August edition of SFX, double page spread with a nice glossy photo and long interview. So there's been a lot of promotion and a lot of things coming up as well. I've been busy working away on book 3, Judas Blossom book 3. My deadline is Christmas and I'm well on target to finish the first draft of that with a little bit of time to spare so that I can go back, go over it again, give it a quick polish and just read it through to make sure, like a sanity check that I do before I send it off to my editor. I just like to give it another quick polish. I mean, it'll still go through lots of different revisions and it'll need a lot of work, but I just want to make sure there's no obvious things that are really silly that I've missed or that need a little bit of attention. Normally that takes a couple of weeks, and I think I'll still have enough time to do that in addition to edits on book 2, which will continue this year and then into next year as we ramp up the launch of book 2 in July. So as I think I mentioned on the channel a couple of times, I'm now going to do some self-publishing. I'm looking to become a hybrid author. In addition to doing new traditionally published books, I'll be pitching new stuff next year that in theory would start coming out in 2025 or 2026. It really depends on timings, what else the publisher has going on their list, when my books could come out and so on. So it's an ongoing discussion to have with my agent and then my editor. Obviously, if they don't like the books that I pitch, I have to come up with something else. But in addition to that, I am going to self-publish something. Now, I have got a novella, and it's quite long in terms of novella. It's 42,000 words, and some people have said, well, why don't you turn that into a novel? And it doesn't really have that potential. There are potential to tell more stories within the same world, but it's quite a difficult sell in some ways because it's cross-genre. It's something that I just wanted to write. It was a story that was burning in me that I needed to tell, and now I've done it. I may write a sequel to it at some point, but I'm now leaning towards the idea of doing a full self-published fantasy novel. Now, when I wrote Battle Mage back in the day, this is, going back to the early 2000s, 11, 12s, before I sort of started looking for an agent in 2013, I wrote a book that I couldn't find. I wrote the book that I wanted to read. And now, with the potential of self-publishing, I can kind of do something similar in that I can just write the book and I don't have to worry about some of the other things that concern you when you work with traditional publishing. Like, I can just put it out, and if it finds an audience, great, and it does well. If it doesn't find an audience, then, that kind of shows that there wasn't a market for it. But I've still written a book and I can still put it out and I still kind of scratch that itch. I can still tell the really kind of story that I'm desperate to write. Now, I think there is a market for it. I guess we'll find out in due course. But if I want to write a 200,000 words, 300,000 word novel, because that's as long as the book needs to be, that's okay. Working with traditional publishers, it is a little more difficult. It can be fine to have a book that long, but it's a longer, more complicated conversation. With self-publishing, as I'm finding out through all of these discussions that I'm having with self-published authors, and there are more of those to come, there is a certain things I don't need to factor in as much. You can focus more on the idea of, well, it's going to be predominantly an ebook sale. Some people never get an audiobook because obviously it's quite expensive to make. You can sell the rights to someone else and then you share the profits. That's possible. Physical books are obviously more expensive because you work on a print-on-demand model. So there's all these other things that come further down the line, but predominantly you're just writing the story that you want to tell and then you're putting it out there as an ebook with a nice cover and seeing what happens. And that's kind of what I want to do. Where the book will come out in terms of what year it'll be, I don't know. My gut is telling me that if I write it next year and then I start to build up the promotion and it'll be coming out in 2025, but that's really kind of a hand-wavy, probably kind of thing. I'm not going to burn through a book, write it in 3 months, and then just put it out. I want to do it right, and I'm still learning so much from other self-published authors. It really requires a bit of a adjustment in my mindset. I'm trying to bridge the gap between traditional publishing and self-publishing. And it really is kind of like breaking rules that you've had in your mind for a long time. And I want to continue to do both because there are benefits. I can write a traditional novel and you hand it off to some degree and you kind of forget about it for a period of time whilst other people take care of things. With the self-published model, I'll be doing some of that myself, and I don't have the capacity to do both, like as if I was going to do 2 self-published novels. So doing 1 traditional, 1 self-published a year, potentially, maybe that's possible. I don't know. It depends on how well this first one goes. I still have a lot of questions. A lot of things I don't know about how self-publishing works. So I'm going to continue doing videos about that, talking to people who have done it, learn from their experiences, try and get as much as I can before I take the plunge, which is why I'm being careful on saying when the book is going to come out. But then there's all the other things I would have to do before the book is even sort of given a line in the sand. There's all the promotion, there's all of the kind of build-up, there's all of the getting the word out, advertising, and just telling people about its existence. So in theory, 2025 could be a really big year for me, which sounds so weird to say that, it's so far away, but equally there's only, next year, and then it's kind of here. Next year will be book 2 of Judas. There's a couple of other smaller projects coming along that should come through next year, but I don't really want to say what they are yet. But then 2025 could be a big year with Judas Blossom book 3 in July. Hopefully a self-published novel as well. And 2025 will be the 10th anniversary of Battle Mage. If anything happens with that for the 10th anniversary, I don't know. I would like something to happen. I'm talking to some people about it. Whether or not that ever comes to pass, I don't know. I can't say because nothing has been confirmed yet. It's a kind of a hope to happen, something I wish could happen. It's not something that definitely will. So it's looking like next year will be head down writing probably 2 books, hopefully 1 traditional and 1 self-published. I am going to be doing fantasy. I am pitching some standalones to my agent and my publisher, and we'll see how they are received. My goal is to write this self-published novel as a standalone with the potential to do other standalone adventures featuring this one character. But I guess we'll see. The novella, I'm not really sure what to do with it. I could just put it out there, but then again, if you don't do anything extra with it, you don't do follow-ups, it's that same thing in self-publishing. If you put 1 book out a year and that's what you say you're going to do, that's great. If the novella was connected to something else, that would perhaps work as a lead-in, but it isn't. So I'm still not really sure what to do with it. Maybe I'll just kind of give it away as if you sign up to my newsletter or something, which I now have. You can do that. There's links below. I don't know. It's something I'm still kind of pondering with, but I'm glad I've written a story. I'm happy with it. Not many people have read it, but the feedback I've had has been positive. So I don't know. It's something I'll have to give some more thought. Okay, this has gone on way longer than I thought it was going to. So the rest of this year, wrapping up book 3, edits on book 2, taking a break over Christmas. I'll be taking a break from doing videos over YouTube as well. I always take a bit of a break, maybe a couple of weeks. Reset, refresh, play some video games, chill out, watch loads of TV and catch up on films, eat far too much food, drink too much beer, have a rest, and then we start again in January. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about for today. I'll be back very soon with another video.